Well, our first guest this morning is a New York Times best-selling author. She was also the very first person chosen in Oprah Winfrey's book club. Jacqueline Machard was a longtime resident of Wisconsin, now though lives on Cape Cod, I'm sad to say. She's back though today to talk about her latest work and what it's like to raise 9 children.
9. Jackie's new book is called What We Lost in the Dark. It's set to be released on Monday. And today she's back in town and we're super excited to have her here. We so are excited. Hi, Jackie. Nice to meet you.
It's so great to be here. I'm such a homesick Wisconsinite.
I need to know.
homesick.
Yeah, what do you miss about Wisconsin? Because you had a beautiful, I was at your home once. You lived sort of outside of Madison, if I remember right.
On a hill in Oregon, Wisconsin, and yeah, I miss my house. I miss my friends. I miss my brother and my sister. And I even miss the weather. And I know.
What do you miss about do you miss winter?
I miss, well, it's wintry out there too. You know, Cape Cod is not for sissies. We had Hurricane Sandy out there.
Yeah.
We had no power for 4 days. It was 41 in the house. And my husband wouldn't start the fireplace because he kept saying it draws heat out of the house.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I told him finally, I'm going to start the fire with your clothes. if you don't start it right now.
Was it romantic though to have no power and be with him for 4 days?
And the 9 children.
In 41 degrees.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you know, wearing my
flannel.
I look like Bob and Doug McKenzie wearing my Uggs to bed and my stocking cap.
Right?
Tell us who's on that picture.
Oh my gosh, that's all 9 of my kids.
How long ago was that picture taken? Do you know?
That picture was taken about at Christmas.
Oh, this year?
Yeah.
Okay.
What are the age ranges here?
Okay, my eldest son, who lives in Madison, is 29. My youngest son, Atticus, is 8.
Wow, you've got such a span there.
Yeah, through birth and adoption, and they're not. No, this is the one that was just taken.
Okay, this is Christmas of this year.
Christmas of this year, and the eldest one is the one who looks like Jerry Garcia with the beard, and then there are my 2 daughters from Ethiopia, and my son Will making such a lovely gesture. At least it's a nice gesture.
Yes,
exactly. The peace sign.
Yeah,
right?
the peace sign. And
you have a puppy doggy?
And we have a puppy dog, Dante.
Dante. Yes. Oh, that's cute.
Yes.
That's very cute.
I'm trying to think of a name. We're expecting a puppy. You know,
you're expecting.
We're expecting. And we're going to get a Havanese, which is a Bichon, but from Havana. So we're trying to think of a name for him.
I love that.
You know, we're trying to name the puppy.
I like that. What about adopting from a third world country?
That was, I enter into everything with full speed ahead and without thinking about the consequences or what it's going to be like, and figuring that children were children no matter what. Now these kids, Dad had died of AIDS, Mom was dying from AIDS. Ethiopia has one of the highest rates of adults over 40. I think 40% of adults over 40 have the AIDS virus, whether they know it or not. And so it was a very sad situation. They came home 4 years ago on Christmas Day. They spoke 7 words of English between them. They spoke Amharic, which you can't learn. I mean, because it's like Russian. It has a Cyrillic alphabet. So it was a huge challenge. It was a huge challenge to win that. No, to win their... The little one was 5, and she was just this little bunny, and everybody loved her and everything. The big one was 11, and she had had a life, and she had loved her life and loved her mom, and still loves her mom, who's dying. And it was a big challenge to win her heart.
How long have they been in your home?
4 years.
4 years.
4 years
and how
on
is it
Christmas
now?
Day. You know, in some ways they mean more to me than any of my children because they were so hard won. And in their little lives, they've endured so much more. We think we have hard times.
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
You know, they went from being sort of almost little middle-class girls with a house to living in a shack to living in an orphanage in 10 months. And
the transition.
and then coming here, Ethiopia was never colonized. We were the first white people they ever met.
Wow. You see, that's like mind-boggling, isn't it? When you think about and I loved what you said was about she was 11, but she had a life. You know, it's like at 11, you can do a lot of living, especially if you've done some hard living like she did.
Right, and enormous memories. I remember one time I called her honey, and she said, "I'm not your honey." And I said, "Go outside and sit outside until you can come back in." 9 hours she sat out there drinking from the hose. And finally I woke up. We were all looking out the window, of course, to make sure she was fine. And we're on a farm in Madison, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
So I look, she's standing next to the bed, and she's got tears in her eyes, and she says, "All right, I will take you for my mother."
Really?
And started to cry and got in bed with me. And I've never probably experienced a moment more moving than that.
That is so moving.
I had to win her heart, and it took a long time.
It sounds like it. I think it's wonderful what you've done with adoption. And I know you lost your first husband when you were very young. He was very young.
Yes.
You remarried, and I've met your husband, and you've taken in these children and had some children, and I think it's wonderful. Denise and I were talking because a lot of people know that you were Oprah's first, transitioning a little bit here. You were her first selection, Deep End of the Ocean, which also became a movie that Michelle Pfeiffer was in. Denise and I were talking about how difficult it was to read your book and see that movie, because it is every parent's worst nightmare. And you wrote a book about a boy who was taken from his home, but then kind of grew up near his real mother, and eventually the two reconnected. Your new book, you write about this virus. You call it XP. It's like a fatal allergy to sunlight. But you kind of, I feel like you go places that are very difficult mentally for a lot of us to process.
That's my goal. You know, my goal is to trick people into going these crazy places. These 3 kids have XP, which is a fatal allergy to sunlight, and which can make your life shorter. And so they live at night. They live on the reverse clock. And they do all these crazy things like parkour and deep diving in Lake Superior wearing dry suits. And but one night they scale this fancy lakeshore condominium, and they look through a glass and they see what appears to be the work of a monster, a human monster. But he sees them too.
Sounds like
he
a
does.
And then the chase is on,
and it's a sequel, right? It's a sequel to another book you have?
There's 2. What We Saw at Night is the first one, where they first meet this guy. What We Saw in the Dark is where they go after him.
Oh, wow.
No, you're in town because you're doing a benefit, I think, coming up. Is it fair to say, because you have a sister and a brother here that and a son, that you'll always be back to Wisconsin?
I'll always be back to Wisconsin. My goal is to someday have like some tiny little place that I can come and stay in Wisconsin, because this is home. It's the home of my heart, and it always will be.
Nice. Do you like Cape Cod? I mean, it sounds cool to live on Cape Cod.
I love Cape Cod. It's beautiful. And when I'm outside, I feel like the richest woman in the world. When I'm inside, I miss home. We root for Green Bay until they lose, and then we root for the Patriots. So.
Okay, I get that. That's a fair trade-off. It's so great to have you here. Thank you for spending some time with us and chatting. And it always goes way too fast. But your new book is What We Lost in the Dark. It's a sequel to What We Saw at Night. That book, What We Lost in the Dark, is going to be coming out Monday, which is exciting. It's a young adult sort of crossover novel. And you can find out more about Jacqueline by visiting her website, and always root for her to come back and visit us here on the Morning Blend when she visits Wisconsin. Great to see you. Thank you so much.
Welcome back to the Morning Blend, where we're cooking with Thunder Bay. Some people resolve to become vegetarians in the new year, while others just want to cut out the amount of meat they eat.
Chef Mike Stigler is back with a great pasta dish that they serve on the dinner menu at Thunder Bay. This is a meal that's meatless, which you don't do a lot of meatless stuff here on the Morning Blend. Nope. And I want to talk about this dish in a second, but first, anything you want to say about the vintage recipes we shared? Because I did make note of one thing. They all had either one of 2 ingredients. to be disgusting? Jello or mayonnaise, right?
Yeah, they definitely did strike a chord with me, and it reminds me of a dish that my mom would usually make because I'm one of 9 myself as well. And towards the end of the week, she would take a little bit of everything, all the leftovers that were in there, put it all together in a pan, mix it with some macaroni and some breadcrumbs, and bake it in the oven and pull it out. And it was like the mystery casserole. So you would have...
That is so funny because we had a viewer on Facebook say they would take whatever meat was left over, mix it with peas and ketchup, and put it over mashed potatoes.
That sounds familiar. It really does. We would also make a potato chip dip that was half mayonnaise, like you said, and like half ketchup with a little bit of onion powder, and just mix it up, and that would be the chip dip.
And here you ended up becoming a chef.
I think it was because of those early traumas. I think
I think we're spoiled these days. We have such good food. You know, we have such good options for food that back then people just they had to eat what was left over. They didn't have anything else.
Yep.
That was so funny.
You make do. You make do
with what you have. Right.
So what do you like about this dish? And I know you're also going to give us some tips about cooking with mushrooms, right?
Well, the thing I like about this dish is that although it is vegetarian, if you were to decide that you wanted to add some meat to it, it would be really easy to do. So it's a vegetarian dish that you can kind of improvise a little bit and make it a meat dish too if you want to.
Okay.
So this is kind of the portobello mushroom is sort of the star of this dish right here.
They're huge.
Yeah, there are portobellos, and then you also have creminis. The cremini is the younger brother, so to speak, of the portobello mushroom. So if you get cremini mushrooms, you get portobello mushrooms. Same mushroom, one's just bigger than the other.
Don't they taste the same?
They taste the same, yeah.
Okay.
So now, one thing people don't usually like about cooking with mushrooms is that you have these ribs along the bottom here, which are really dark, and they tend to kind of not add a lot of flavor to your dish, and they make whatever you're cooking a little bit dark as well. So what I like to do with these first is you got this stem here, and instead of messing around with the knife trying to cut it out, just kind of take your thumb, and it just pops right out like that. Toss that over the shoulder, get rid of that. And then if you get just a regular spoon, put it right in here and kind of twist your mushroom around like that, and you'll see all those little ribs, they come directly right out of the mushroom like that, and you're left with just like sort of a nice white mushroom.
And you don't have to go very deep.
On the bottom. No, you just kind of like scraping the top just like so.
Okay.
And then you get all those dark spots right off of there, and then you can add these to your dish.
Color of the mushroom than for taste? It doesn't affect the taste a whole lot?
No, it doesn't really do anything. If you were to put all that dark stuff into your dish, I mean, it would make whatever you're cooking really dark. So we don't want to do that. So we're going to get going on this pasta right here. And the first thing we're going to add to our little bit of olive oil that we got going here. Careful.
Oh, yeah.
Careful. We got a live one over here. We're going to add some red peppers into there. And then we're going to add in some broccoli as well. We're going to get all these tossing around. And then to there, we're going to add our sliced portobello mushrooms. And we're going to let this kind of cook up for a little bit. Toss it all around.
Because it takes a while for the broccoli to get soft, doesn't
it? It does take a couple of minutes, yeah, but when you're cooking on high heat like this, as long as you keep it moving, it goes surprisingly quick. And one way to kind of expedite that a little bit is to add a little bit of liquid. If you have chicken stock, white wine, that sort of thing, get that going in there, give it a nice little toss. Don't be afraid. You're going to run away.
I was just thinking that's how Mike always manages his personal space. He cooks with really high heat, and people avoid him.
We're cooking the heat over here. So you get this tossing around really nicely like that. You're going to add a little bit of salt and pepper to the pan. Get that tossing around as well.
Smells good,
and then we're going to add a little bit of chopped garlic. Now, when you put garlic in the pan, you got to remember that if you leave that sit too long, it's going to burn. So you got to keep that garlic moving around like that. Keep that garlic moving, and what that's going to do is it's going to release all the flavors that are in it without burning. And if you ever, get a little bit of concern, like, oh no, it's going to burn, just give another little splash of some liquid in there. Yeah, a little bit more wine. If you were at home, you could always just throw a little bit of water in there, a little splash of water if you wanted to. We're going to get that all cooking around really nice, and then to that we're going to add some of our tortellini pasta. Now, this is tortellini pasta that's already been cooked and cooled, and this is tricolor tortellini. So you have the sun-dried tomato, you have the regular, and then you also have a little bit of spinach in there as well. Spinach
I like
tortellini.
that for color, especially.
So you fry the noodles too. They're pre-cooked and then you're frying them.
They're pre-cooked, and we're going to kind of basically what we're trying to do here is just bring them back up to temperature and reheat them. So we're going to get those going around and let those kind of marry a little bit with all the flavors that we got in the pan. And then to that, we're going to add a little bit of our cream sauce. Now, this is cream that's been reduced by half with a little bit of garlic and some salt and pepper. If you were doing something like this at home, you could use half and half as well if you wanted to make sure that you didn't get too much additional fat in there. We're going to go ahead and saute that all around, and then that cream is going to continue to reduce while it's in the pan, and then to that we're going to add some grated Asiago cheese. Now, Asiago cheese is really similar to Parmesan. It's a little bit salty, not overly so, and it's got a lot of flavor to it. It's kind of like a sharp type of cheese. So we're going to go ahead, saute all that around, and you see how quickly this is all coming together. We're going to let this cook, and as the cheese melts into the sauce, it's going to thicken it up, and it's going to be good to go.
And quickly, Mike, I want to talk about Fat Tuesday, your feast, because we're running out of time. A great opportunity for people to sample. I think it's your favorite food, the Cajun food.
Yeah, it's about my favorite time of the year, to be honest with you. Mardi Gras Fat Tuesday, because I get to cook the stuff that I like.
Exactly.
And that's stuff that's not, it's not necessarily spicy, so I don't want to scare people off on that, but it's really flavorful and it's bold. We're going to be having like alligator gumbo. We're going to have red beans and rice. We're going to have Creole baked chicken, black and red fish. We put up all sorts of decorations in the room, and it's like a total party atmosphere.
And that's coming up on March 4th.
Yeah,
Let's put
Tuesday,
the information
March 4th.
up so everyone can see and make reservations, which is recommended, right, for Fat Tuesday.
Yeah, it's definitely a good idea. So that way we know how much food to make up.
March 4th, 5 to 8, $16.99 at the Thunder Bay Grill. And you can find the Thunder Bay Grill at the corner of 94 and 164, exit 294 off the freeway in Pewaukee. 262-52, that's a 3, right?
Yes, it is.
4244 thunderbaygrill.com. There's the information there.
We both need our glasses for that. But that $16.99 for Fat Tuesday Feast is a great price for all of that food.
Yeah, we're going to have, flaming bananas Foster out there, for dessert.
Ooh,
we're going to have tons of
Foster.
cold stuff, hot stuff. I mean, it's a full-on buffet.
But
That's
no
gonna be
bananas with the
fantastic.
meat and the hollandaise sauce, huh?
No, we're going to skip that. We're going to skip that one.
No bananas and ham. That was a good call. Thanks a lot, Mike.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Welcome back. Tina Rose-Treskow was having trouble nursing her newborn son. After some testing, she was diagnosed with stage 3C inflammatory breast cancer. She's still undergoing treatment while caring for her 4 children, all on her own. The medical bills before insurance are already more than $1 million, and they're still rising.
It's an unbelievable story. And coming up this weekend, You Can Help. Comedian Dobie Maxwell will be performing at the Memories Chicken Comedy Night, which is also a benefit for Tina. We're going to talk a little bit more about her story in just a second. Great to have you here, Dobie.
A chicken benefit, that fits comedy, doesn't it? I got to lick some fingers or doing something. It's a big
Well,
benefit.
I was reading about I've never been there before to
I haven't
chicken
either,
comedy.
because
You haven't?
I
Okay,
have
but
the
it's
first
like I was reading all the chicken you can eat and all the comedy you can handle, but apparently they serve this broasted chicken and like sides buffet. It's a dinner, but I heard the chicken is fantastic.
I heard it's the best dish you've ever eaten.
Yeah,
and when I was
see?
a kid, I grew up in Milwaukee. We'd go out to Port Washington for Smith Brothers Fish Shanty. So I
Sure.
always go out there for fish. To have chicken, it's a whole other experience.
Yeah.
Do you get
So-
to eat some of the chicken when you're
Well, I don't have to eat
before or
before I
after your
perform.
show?
Afterwards, I'll take a bucket home. I'll eat
It's
it in
all
the
the
car.
chicken you can eat. So.
But me, it's like one piece. Like, sorry, that's all you can eat. That's all. But for everybody else, they can have all they
That's all
want.
that's left. One piece we save for
And
you.
in Wisconsin, buffet, that gets people, want, all you can eat, we're here. We
Yeah,
don't
oh,
care.
yeah, the
That
people are
ham and
lining
banana
up.
thing you were talking about, all you can eat of that.
Well, anything disgusting you used to eat as a kid?
I was raised by my grandparents, and they lived through the Depression, which meant vicariously I had to live through the Depression when I grew up.
Right.
And they would take bacon grease, and they would put it in a vat, and they'd spread it on bread and make it, and that was a treat to them.
No way.
At the end
Bacon
of-
grease
bacon
on
grease
bread.
on bread, that's it.
On
Rye
toasted bread?
No, regular rye
Oh,
bread.
no.
The end of the rye bread. What do you call it?
The butt?
Little nub, the butt.
Just kidding.
Yeah,
The
and that was
butt.
all. My grandpa was there, and he shared that with me, and I was like, "This is horrible," and he loved it.
So they waited until the grease was cold, so
Cold,
it was like
yeah.
that pasty stuff that just
Yeah.
scoop
Like
up and-
lard.
So
Oh.
some heart surgeons passing it out to drum up business, I think.
Right.
Is what it is. But
okay,
it
that
was
is
disgusting.
I think you might have won today.
I don't want to win that one.
The,
No,
the
that's
most
not good.
disgusting.
Yeah.
But no mayonnaise or Jello in that, huh?
No mayonnaise or Jell-O.
No mayonnaise or
Yeah.
Jello. Okay.
But a Diet Coke after that. 8,001 calories.
Wash it down. What I think is fascinating about you is that you do a lot of benefits. You kind of like call yourself the benefit guy. But I actually, on a serious note, with a comedian, I love your attitude about it because you're like, I'm always going to be broke. What offends you is if you're able to help.
Absolutely.
And you don't.
There's no question about it. You know Harry Chapin, the Cats in the Cradle guy?
Yeah.
He was known for doing benefits in the music business. They said more than half of his shows were, and he'd get all the musicians together, come on, we got to help somebody. It'd be for world hunger and all these causes. He said, hey, I've got fingers and toes, and I can walk, and I can see, and I can eat. To help somebody is the right thing to do. And I think it's totally the right thing to do, and I'll always do it every time that I can.
That's a great attitude.
It's the right attitude, because people come up at a regular comedy show, oh yeah, you were pretty funny. At a show like this, you helped my aunt or whoever it was, and they hug you and they remember you forever. I have the easy part. I just get to go up and be funny. And they have the hard part. Having breast cancer is not funny, and it's not easy to do, and she's going through so much pain. And if I can help with a comedy show, I will be there 100 times out of 100. So,
How did you get involved with Tina's cause?
well, I didn't. I was booked at the show, and they said, well, would you mind one of our employees? And I saw this condition. It's like, my gosh, how could I not get involved? involved.
You know what I think is incredible about her story, because Denise and I were talking about this, a beautiful young woman with 4 kids she's raising on her own. But listen to this, she was nursing her newborn son, as Denise mentioned a few seconds ago. It wasn't going well, so she went to a lactation consultant, but the pain only got worse. A lot of people will identify with this. She became feverish. They thought she had mastitis, so they started her on an antibiotic, which did nothing. I had mastitis, so I understand that kind of the pain and the concern. But after additional testing, her worst fear was realized when she was diagnosed with this stage 3C inflammatory breast cancer, which is rare and aggressive, and it mimics the symptoms of mastitis. But she's gone through all of this treatment and surgeries, and still faces 2 reconstruction surgeries and 6 weeks of daily radiation treatments and a year of regular chemo treatments. So, you know, just as a woman, as a person living and walking the earth, this is a great thing to go to and help, just because she's going through a horrible experience.
How can you not pay a few dollars to see a comedy show, have some great chicken, and to really help somebody out? Now, I have CDs and DVDs. I'm not trying to plug those. 100% of the proceeds will go to the cause.
100%.
100%. I will give them all up. I mean, if you can use it for a beverage coaster to scrape the ice off your windshield, I don't care. This is what you do to help people.
There's the venue right there, right?
Memories Ballroom. It's been open for 80 years. I've been doing research on it. It used to be called Weiler's, and our parents' generation will go out there. Jerry Lee Lewis played there. A lot of entertainment people played there. It's going to be a blast. Come on out. I talk 500 miles an hour. You'll get more than your money's worth. And we have a special guest, a 12-year-old comedian named Trevor Burke is coming up from Chicago because his father saw this cause and wants to support as well.
Is the kid funny?
The kid's really funny. He's got a reality show. If he gets the reality show, the Duck Dynasty people are doing it.
Wow.
I'm going to be the wacky comedian Uncle Trainer. So
awesome.
I'm this close to almost. this is my biggest credit so far. That'll be a good one too. To be on your show.
Well, you got to still join us even when you become big.
No, you have to grow my beard like Duck Dynasty.
Yeah, there you go.
And you got to say you got to do a lot of redneck humor then.
Well,
right?
do Wisconsin humor. How about that? We'll get it. Cudahy. That's just funny right there. It's always funny when it comes from Cudahy.
It's just funny we can laugh at
it's
that.
Hilarious.
We get that. All right, here's the information, because you got to go out to Memories. Okay, this is happening Saturday, January 18th, which is this Saturday night at 5 o'clock. It's happening at Memories in Port Washington. It's on Lake Drive. DobieMaxwell.com is where you can find out more information. But help Tina support this cause. Memories is supporting her cause, and then Dobie, his CDs as well as his DVDs, 100% of the profits go to help Tina with her medical bills. So I hope she's doing great. I hope she's watching today. We're thinking about you, and we hope a lot of people. We hope you just sell out.
We love you, Tina. Come on out.
We do. Thank you so much.
Thanks
Great
for
to
having
see
me.
you, Dobie.